There we go.
All right, here we go.
Rick Davis.
Hey, 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 welcome into another episode of Out of Bounds. This is a week 4 recap edition, getting you set for week 5. I am your host, Todd Fox, with the other host of the show,
The one, the only, Carlos.
Carlos in the house. How's it going, Carlos?
It's going good, man. How you guys doing over there in SoCal?
SoCal feeling the heat because it's October. When October comes around, that means hot weather.
That also means a lot of Angels baseball play in the playoffs, huh?
No, it means it's time to get out your golf gear if you're an Angels player. The annual run to the golf course. Let's get started on some NFL. Let's stop talking about my depressing Angels. And we got a lot to talk about in today's show. And we're going to get into one of the most controversial games in the Week 4 regimen, and it was right off the bat, man. It was Cincinnati Bengals in those awesome white jerseys against the Miami Dolphins. First off, before I get into the stats and whatnot, what'd you think of those Bengals white jerseys, man?
I think they should wear those on the road and not at home. I think they should wear those on the road, and especially in Miami. If the game was in Miami, that'd be cool as hell. But Miami will force them to wear their dark uniforms. But I think they should use those for every primetime game. Primetime game, they should definitely use those every primetime game. You know how the Seahawks use the lime green primetime. That's what the Bengals should do.
I think so. Those are a clean look, man. Real clean look.
It's definitely different. I like them.
Exactly. But in this game, there was a lot of controversy, and it happened not fairly early on. It was about mid-second quarter, I believe. We'll go over it here. The Bengals would hold on to a 27-15 win. Burrow and the Bengals would come back late in the second half to take the win away from the Miami Dolphins, who would suffer their first loss. They fall to 3-1. The Bengals get right to 2-2. Teddy Bridgewater would come in from relief, 14 out of 23, 193 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Tua Tagovailoa was knocked the hell out for the second time, 8 for 14, 110 yards and a pick. He was sacked pretty hard, and his fingers did some crazy shit where it looked like he had convulsions or a seizure. That's 2 concussions in less than a week, actually, because he should have sat out from the previous week after getting concussion. They're talking about coaches being fired. As far as conditioning coaches, there's a full investigation by the Players Union, so this is not a story that's going to go away soon. Most start for the Dolphins, 15 carries, 69 yards. Tyreek Hill had another great game, 10 catches, 160 yards. Joe Burrow went 20 for 31, 287, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Mixon, 24 carries for 61 yards on the ground, and T. Higgins had a nice game, 7 for 124 and a touchdown. Bengals come away on that primetime game, but like I said, thoughts on Tua?
Well, hopefully he gets better, and hopefully he gets back to doing what he was doing up until the injury started happening. It just seems like the guy's cursed, bro. It seems like I thought about it in Tua. It just seems like he's had such a roller coaster career so far. He's only been in the league for like 3 years. I want to say 3 years. And he had to deal with a lot of crap, a lot of criticism that he wasn't that good, and that the Dolphins should get another quarterback, and just the riffraff from all the media and all the fans that Tua Tagovailoa wasn't all that good. And then when he finally gets a really good offense, nothing but speedsters around him, and the team is looking like it's the real deal, he goes to this. It seems like he's just cursed. It just seems like he's just destined to just have a crappy career. Hopefully he gets back though, seriously. But I wouldn't rush him back. He's definitely in there to be the starter whenever he's healthy. Because Teddy Bridgewater, we've seen what he's capable of doing when he's leading the team. I know what he can do firsthand. Because he had Diggs and Thielen up here with Peterson. And he was always a game manager, so Miami needs to wait it out for Tua, but let him get back on his own. And the coach, dude, what's the coach's name? That dude sounds like he doesn't know what he's talking about. Have you heard him talking and give explanations out on what's going on? He sounds worse than I do when I'm in trouble. He's like, we're just waiting for the doctors, and then he stays quiet for like a couple seconds, and then he keeps going. It's like the dude doesn't know what he's doing.
I feel like he's gonna tell the news reporters as they're facing him with the cameras, "Hey, what's that?" And they all turn around and he runs away. But
Yeah, that dude, he's giving me untrusting vibes. I'm pretty sure he now that he's gonna go under the radar, he should be one of the ones that's on the hot end of the seat because a team like that won't struggle with anybody. Just let the players play and call some plays to the strengths of every player.
well,
As a matter of fact, they need to call Matt McWilliams to be the head coach over there in Miami so that he can draw up a couple plays.
well, you know what I mean. Like as far as the Dolphins are concerned, like my question to you is, players always want to play. Like even from high school, like they get their bell rung and they want to go back in the game. It's up to the coaches and the staff to tell them no. And it's clear as day they were trying to say that he had a back issue from last week and you've seen the footage when he fell down and he couldn't stand on his own. That's not a back issue. You know, if you have a back issue, bro, you're on your ass and you're sitting down, you can't move, and you know maybe you even carted off the field or you're carried off the field. And you know, Tua stumbled off. They could tell his bell was rung, and it's like, dude, you're not gonna pass concussion protocol in 1 week. I've seen plenty of my players from the Seahawks get a concussion, and if they're not good by Thursday, which is on a full week, they are not playing. And that was 4 days before their next game. So you mean to tell me you're going to put all the pressure of getting ready for the game, doing all the homework and everything else like that, trying to stave off if you've ever had a concussion, you have headaches, you might even throw up a few times. You got to get your head straight. You're not going to go back in there and right away he got his bell rung, and that was a worse concussion than the first one.
Yeah, I think that even if it was a back injury, why would you even want to risk him going out there and risk his back? Let's just say that it was the back, right? Let's just say it was the back.
Yeah.
Why would you go out there? You know, that's just asking for trouble. They say once you lose your back, you lose it all. You can't do nothing without your back. That's just the light part of it, the light excuse. But for it to be concussion.
And that's on a short week, too. I mean, it's not like you have a backup quarterback. Oh, yeah, you do. Like you said, Teddy Bridgewater has some weapons, has done some nice things when he's healthy. He could have easily started that game. I don't understand pushing Tua. Didn't make sense.
Yeah, to me, it didn't make sense. I think that nobody's talked about it, but Dennis Allen, the head coach for the Saints, look a lot better than I want to say his name is McDaniels. I don't know what his first name is for the Dolphins, but Dennis Allen, you see what he did with Jameis crab legs butter on his finger. Winston, he kept him out.
He made him not dress.
Yeah, he's actually looking like a really good coach. I respect him for that. You don't rush. I mean, Teddy could put up good numbers too. He's not going to blow you out of the waters or anything like that, but you know, let Teddy Bridgewater. That's why you have a backup like Teddy Bridgewater. You bring him in because you already had your doubts about Tua. Then you go out there, and what happens if he actually plays better than Tua, even when Tua's healthy? You know, he just found a diamond in the rough.
Absolutely. So, to sum up that game, Cincinnati wins 27-15 on Thursday Night Football. All kinds of controversy. The end of that story is yet to be told because I'm telling you, they're investigating the Players Union, the NFL. This is going to drag on for a couple more weeks. So then that takes us to our first game of the week on Sunday, and that's in London.
What did you title this game? Let's not forget that. What did you title this game?
Oh, I forgot, man. My head's
a piece of shit. The piece of shit game of the week.
The piece of shit game of the week in London. Yeah. Tea and crumpets, but this game turned into something pretty good, actually. Minnesota wins 28-25. Carlos, I want to ask if you shit your pants at that last field goal. Kirk Cousins, your boy, went 25-38, 273 through the air, a touchdown and a pick. He was sacked 3 times. Dalvin Cook had a pedestrian game, 20 for 76, but they didn't need him too much because you have Justin Jefferson, 10 catches for 147 yards, along with Adam Thielen, 8 for 72. Then you also had on the Saints side, Andy Dalton, again with Jameis Winston sitting. He had all the crab legs he wanted on the sideline.
Mm-hmm. International crab legs too.
He did. International. He had the blue crab. Andy Dalton was 20 of 28 with a 236 through the air, a touchdown, no picks, and actually not bad for a redheaded quarterback. Not bad game. Latavius Murray, 11 for 57. They cannot find the ground game at all. They also had their boy, what's his name?
Mark Ingram.
Kamara was not dressed either.
Oh.
So that helped them not run the ball. Olave had 4 for 67 through the air. So the Saints did a little bit here and there just enough to stay close in the game. They almost tied it. What were your thoughts? Because this is your team, man. Take it away. The Vikings go to 3-1. The Saints fall to 1-3.
Again, another game where I feel like the Vikings ended up losing the game instead of winning. I know we won the game, but I just feel like it just doesn't feel good, like a good win, like one of those like you could actually sit back like, man, my team is the best. Like, oh, dude, we're sitting here playing against Andy Dalton, and they had all these injuries, so that outshines that. Our win is completely outshadowed by all the injuries that the Saints had, and it's just, I don't know. I guess a win is a win no matter what. It feels good to see that they're 3-1, but how we get there, it's just like it's a cover up. I think it's just like, what are we gonna do when we come across a team that's fully healthy and that doesn't fucking have any letdowns when they're up by like 7 or 10 points, like the Saints and the Lions did, to let us get those back-to-back wins. It's just like one of those. I'm a critical thinker, and I think about stuff like that. I'm like, dude, it's almost like the Packers too. The Packers are on the same boat. It's just like nobody's really satisfied with their wins, but we'll take them. We will take those wins because everybody wants to have a win at the end of the day. But it feels like an empty win. It doesn't feel like there's anything there. It just feels like, okay, we won, and let's see if we can do better. But I will say one thing. I'll answer your question after I say this. The numbers speak for themselves. Justin Jefferson, he's turning it. He's getting into the same category of, like, I hate saying it because it's so early in his career, but you have no other choice but to put him in the category of, I'm probably getting a lot of shit for this, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Marvin Harrison. He's not quite Marvin Harrison and Owens yet, but Randy Moss, because they're both in Minnesota, is like with the rookie contracts and all that. But the way he's starting to like have all the defense just pay full attention to him, and then open everything else up for like KJ Osborne in the slot. Adam Thielen is starting to get it going. Like, our offense hasn't fully woken up, and Dalvin Cook, like you said, had a pedestrian game, but that pedestrian game for the Saints would have taken that in a heartbeat over anything that they've had the last few weeks. And Kamara just not being a no-show. And then Michael Thomas, ever since he got his contract, he's just been collecting his checks on the sidelines. He's probably played like maybe 3 games since he got that massive contract, Ohio State product at that.
I think the most work he does on Sundays nowadays is drawing the crosses on his cheek.
That's true, and walking from the locker room to the sidelines. But to answer your question, did I crap my pants, dude? No, I almost did worse. I was about to rip off my fucking beard by my hands. I was sitting there just grabbing my beard, and I was like, dude, why do we always have to get into these damn games? It's just, and then to top it all off, it was a kick or two. Like, I was just sitting there, like, every time Greg Joseph would line up for extra point or a field goal, I was just like, he's gonna miss one, and I hope it happens in this game, because it's early in the season. We need to get all of our funkiness out of the way, so that way when the months of like November, December come around, we already got all that stuff corrected. So I'm happy with the progress that the team's making, because you never want to peak too early in the season, because if you peak too early, that means what's going to happen when like November, December, when the games actually get more and more tightened up, that's when you want to be peaking at that point in time. You don't want to be peaking in September and October. And there's a team in specific, if you know which one I'm talking about, the only undefeated team that's peaking at the absolute worst possible time.
Yeah, we'll get to them right now, because, by the way, the Dolphins are watching those games with that team. They're ready to pop the champagne again. Those guys living forever. We talked about that. But last thing I'll say on this game, that field goal was crazy. The miss, it doinked twice off the post. And also, I dig the Saints jerseys with that helmet, the black helmet. That looked pretty sick.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to say 2 things, dude. First, I'll say Chris Olave, the real deal, dude. Like, you said he only had like 4 catches for 70-something yards and a touchdown. That dude's good. He's gonna be good. Andy Dalton's better than I think. I think he's more suitable for that style offense than Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. I don't hate the Saints as much as I did no more, because Breeze isn't there and Peyton isn't there no more. And those were the 2 fucks that cheated us back in 2009. So I'm starting to like kind of forgive them a little bit. But the Saints, they got a real deal in Chris Olave, and then that double dunk. That's what I wanted to say. That dude, did you see the replay? Like, when they when they show the real, like when they zoomed in and they showed the ball, it was like going back and forth. I was like, how's that happening?
Yeah.
And that's I remember watching this video. Is there some conspiracy theories that the NFL has it rigged a little bit, where like, how does the ball like do that? Like, is there like magnets and is there magnets inside of the ball where They're because you got to think about it too. Saints fans, even myself, I looked at some of those penalties. I don't know if you watched most of that game, but a lot of those penalties were just like iffy at best. But the NFL, since it's that 2009 season, brother, the NFL is not letting off on the Saints.
No, they're not, and they've also. I mean, like again, I'll feed into a little bit of conspiracy theory because if you watch the Rams last year, they got every break, they got every call. It's just the league wanted them there, and magically they have the Super Bowl at their home. So I mean, I don't buy into that bullshit. So we'll talk about them later. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Cleveland and Atlanta. That moves us to the Falcons and the Browns. Now both teams go to 2-2. The Browns fall back. Atlanta, look, they did what they had to do in this game. Nothing flashy, but they kept moving the chains, and they did that against the Seahawks. And now they did it against a really good defense in the Cleveland Browns. And the Browns were a little knocked off by that Falcons defense, which is not good. But for some reason, the Falcons held the Browns scoreless through the second and third quarters. I think that was the key in this one. Jacoby Brissett went 21 for 35, 234 and a pick. Nick Chubb did his Nick Chubby things, 19 carries for 118 yards and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt added 10 for 50. He should be starting somewhere at some point, but that is the best running back tandem in the league. Nick Njoku, 5 for 73. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 5 for 71, so they mixed it up between those two receivers. Marcus Mariota didn't have to do too much. He did pretty much the role of an Ohio State quarterback. He went 7 for 19 for 139 yards and a pick. But Tyler Aguilar rushed for 10 for 84. So did Caleb Huntley, 10 for 56. The big news in this one, Cordell Patterson down for the year. He went on the IR. It looks like. Huh?
They said that the IR is only for 4 weeks because remember they changed it like a year or two ago, like maybe 3 years ago. You could put a player on IR for like a month or a month and a half, and he can come back after like 6 games. So he's only out for 4 games.
Oh, okay. My bad on that one. Thank you for the correction.
And then, they recently changed it like within the last 2-3 years. So I just found out because I listen to sports radio a lot.
Oh, okay, my bad. And then also for Atlanta, Zacchaeus, 2 for 55 through the air. So they really didn't dominate, but they kept time of possession, and they screwed over the Browns. They win this game 23-20 as the Browns tried to come back, but the Falcons held on in the end. Thoughts on this one? Both teams 2-2 now.
Man, Atlanta's starting to look like a team that's like full of mystery. It's just like one of those teams now. You can't look at the Falcons like, oh, we're going to go in there and we're going to steamroll the Falcons. That team has a lot of like secret identity. Like you don't know any of those players outside of Cordell Patterson and obviously the quarterback situation. But Calvin Ridley's not even there, and they're going back and forth with all these teams, regardless of what the record is. They almost won in Seattle, right? Did they beat Seattle or they lost
beat Seattle? They beat
Seattle. They went all the way across the complete opposite end of the country, and they went and they handled their business. They came back home and played against a juggernaut of I would just say a juggernaut of a rushing team in Cleveland. But Cleveland, you know what they're reminding me of? Dude, they're starting to remind me of the Mike Zimmer Minnesota Vikings because the head coach for the Browns, Kevin Stefanski, he was our offensive coordinator when Zimmer was here. Mm-hmm. He was with Minnesota for 14 years, and he's carrying that tradition over there, dude. Like it's a run heavy approach, and you got wide receivers here and there. They got Amari Cooper, but it just looks too much like Mike Zimmer, Leslie Frazier, like Brad Childress. It just looks like a run based team, and they'll have a really good regular season. Everybody be like, oh, this team's good and all this and that, just like the Vikings when we had Adrian Peterson. But dude, it's just like they rely too much on the run game, and that's what's going to come back and bite Cleveland in the ass. You don't want to be too pass happy and forget completely about your run game. You want to be like balanced. You don't want to be too run heavy or too pass heavy. You want balance. You want right down the middle. That's what happened with your Seahawks. You guys had Marshawn Lynch and you guys had Russell Wilson. And that's how nobody knew how to game plan for all that. But Cleveland, I wouldn't be surprised if they had like 10 wins this year and they were a one and done in the playoffs because they're going to rely. I don't know. It's just like I just get too much Mike Zimmer. He's too much like Mike Zimmer. That dude Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to see what happens when the butt tickler comes back. We don't know how that offense is gonna change. So you're right.
As long as the Browns, I know we haven't said this much, but you know how the Raiders have the black hole. The Browns, they gotta protect the brown hole, dude. As long as they protect the brown hole, that's all that matters.
Yeah, they gotta avoid the penetration. That's
for sure. And they gotta protect Brownie the elf.
Exactly.
Protect Brownie the elf and the brown hole.
Now we know why he has a smile all the time. So
He knows.
that'll be that game. They fall 2-2. Atlanta goes to 2-2, so they won two straight. That'll take us to one of the premier matchups of the day in the soaking rain in Baltimore, Maryland. The Buffalo Bills took on the Baltimore Ravens. Bills go to 3-1, coming back in this one. Baltimore falls to 2-2. They are 0-2 at home. Josh Allen went 19 for 36, 213 through the air, a touchdown and a pick. So not really great numbers, but the rain did most of that. Again, a stat that I don't like, that this game involved both quarterbacks being the leading rushers. Josh Allen, 11 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs, 4 for 62 through the air. And then on the Baltimore Ravens side, 20 for 29, 144 yards. That's what happens when you make him pass. I'm just saying. Lamar Jackson, a touchdown, 2 picks. Lamar Jackson was also a leading rusher, 11 carries, 73 yards. And Devon Dunaway, 4 for 51 through the air. Now, I'll just say one thing before I pass it over to you on your thoughts on this game. The Bills were down 20-3 at one point. They came all the way back, took the lead late in the fourth quarter. John Harbaugh, though, actually when it was tied, it was tied, and John Harbaugh was inside the 20, and the Ravens were kind of treating the Bills like the Chiefs. We got to get the most points instead of kicking a field goal. Even though you have the best field goal kicker in the league, you sent a message to your defense that you can't stop the Bills. He went for it, and on fourth down, and it was picked. That changed the tide of the game. There was arguments on the sideline. Correct call there, or terrible call by Harbaugh?
I would say that was a great call by Harbaugh. I'm on Harbaugh's side on that one, only because what's going to happen in the playoffs is they're in the same situation. Same picture that in that spot in the playoffs. Let's just say it's the AFC Championship game and the Bills and the Ravens meet up. And the Bills are going to come back and they're going to score a touchdown. The Bills in playoff mode, forget about it. I'll be like, dude, the field goal is not going to do nothing for us against Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a monster. He's every bit as good as Lamar Jackson, if not better. Especially because I feel like he's got a better arm. People go back and forth who's better. I'm with Josh Allen because he's proven that he's taking his team further in the playoffs. Receivers want to go and play with even if they're a little washed up, they want to go and play in Buffalo instead of over there in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. I think that was a good call. I think it was a good call, especially with Lamar Jackson. Everybody's always raving about how pushing his numbers, like, oh, they need to pay the man and all this and that. Well, show me. That was his time right there. Show me what you got when the game's on the line. Like, this is early in the season. We can clean this up. We still got all these months to go. You got to look at the whole entire playoff picture. Like, the Ravens can still win the division and all that. So, I mean, they didn't win the game, but I would have gone for it too, because you got Lamar Jackson, MVP to be, and a former MVP. Like, everybody's talking him up, but when the spotlight was on him, what did he do?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of people will say, well, it was heavy rain, but both quarterbacks had to deal with it. They didn't have great games, but they did what, they moved the football at times. So, I mean, that was just a gutsy call. But Marcus Peters took exception to it for the Ravens, and it started a little bit of a locker room, discussion about whether that was the right call or not. So, he didn't trust the defense. We all know Baltimore is known for defense, so maybe he took exception to that because he was like, okay, give it to us to win or lose a game. So I like the passion from both sides, to be honest.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's just like, dude, it's almost like when you're playing Madden, it's like your defense is going to get burnt. It's been getting burnt like in crucial parts of the game and us and that. And Josh Allen is going to come out and he's going to throw it to anybody. So I think that was a good call, man. Marcus Peters, if he doesn't want that, if he's mad about that, do something before that situation arises. Like I would have done the same thing.
Or how about this? Make a stop on the Bills when they got that interception. Don't let them score, and then you make Harbaugh look like an idiot. Then give your team a chance to go down there and get a field goal. Because when they made that pick, there was plenty of time to get the ball back, and instead the Bills marched down and got an easy field goal to end the game. So
that is true.
So now that moves us on to the next game, and this game was, if we have the Who Gives a Fuck game of the week, this was the most predictable game of the week. This was the Dallas Cowboys hosting your Washington Woke. The Washington Woke fall to 1-3. Cowboys go to 3-1 under Rush. And again, Jerry Jones is already trying to rush his boyfriend out there, Dak. He's saying that there's a good chance he could possibly play this upcoming week although he has problems gripping the football. But I don't understand why you go away from a guy who's got the hot hand, like you said last week. You said ride that hot hand until he loses. Well, first off, I'll say this when I get into the stats with the Washington Woke, is we have, I do a true crime podcast, and
What's it called? What's it called?
It's called Grinding True Crime. And I almost want to do an episode.
Where do you find it?
Anywhere you listen to podcasts, man. Anywhere.
Give me a plug-in.
Shameless plug. I want to say this, though. I want to say that if you're looking for a murderer and a thief, look no further than the woke backfield in the quarterback in Carson Wentz. He's a murderer because he kills offenses, and he's a thief because he's taken money from several franchises. He went 25 for 42, the piece of shit quarterback, 170 yards on a 4.0 average per throw. Good God, that's terrible. And he was sacked 2 times for 15 yards. He was hit an awful lot because he holds the ball too long. A touchdown and 2 picks. I'm surprised he got that touchdown. Antonio Gibson was 13 for 49 on the ground, 3 for 43 through the air for Jahan Dotson. But Cooper Rush goes to now 4-0 as a starter career-wise, 15 for 27, 223, 8.3 yards an average, double what Mr. Wentz did. And he's getting pennies on the dollar compared to Wentz. 2 touchdowns, no picks. He was only sacked 1 time. The Ewok rushed 19 for 49. He was avoiding the stormtroopers. And CeeDee Lamb had 6 catches for 97 yards. The Cowboys win a very unimpressive game, though, 25-10. You knew they were going to win. I was hoping they'd win 45-10.
Yeah, for me, as far as my thoughts, I didn't care too much about the game. I knew that the Cowboys are going to win. But let's get to the most important thing, dude, about the quarterback situation. Mm-hmm. I think that Cooper Rush should play the next game. They're going against the Rams, and the Rams are just a big old, just absolute disaster right now. And you could trust Cooper Rush against the Rams right now because the Rams don't have it in them right now. They're like, I don't know what to say about the Rams, but Dallas's defense will be able to contain that Rams offense like everybody else has, and like that you can build up trade value for Cooper Rush if you really want Dak Prescott out there because he does got that contract. You could get right now they could definitely get a first round pick out of for Cooper Rush. There's a desperate team out there like New England that would go after Cooper Rush right now, and you know that
Seahawks. Sorry.
Right now, do you think he's worth the first round pick if he goes into? Is it in LA? I think it's in LA. Or regardless, you're beating the Super Bowl champs. You're doing it with limited freaking. You're not doing it with a run game because those running backs aren't that good in Dallas. Cooper Rush would definitely be worth the first round pick, I think. So build his trade value up and then just ship him away because you got your quarterback of the future.
I don't know if they get a first round out of him, but a second or third might work, but Cooper Rush is a quarterback that, if you can keep him on the roster, if you're the Cowboys, do so because we all know Dak is fragile. But damn, man, I like his chances, like you said, against the Rams. It's going to be a Dallas home game too, so he's not going to feel the pressure.
They do practice out there in Irving, California. Is it Irving, California, where they practice? It's over there, the Tabales, isn't it? Over there by the Tabales?
No, it's not Irvine. It's I want to say Santa Barbara. Yeah, Oxnard. There you go, Oxnard. Yeah, that's
what you call it? Yeah, man. I think. So hold on. I was gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you or tell you. I don't know how you want to take it, but you really don't think that Cooper Rush is worth a first round pick when Carson Wentz and Sam Bradford have gone in the past for first round picks? Like right now, a dumbass GM would give up multiple first round picks for him.
Well, you know what? Again, he's starting to build a little bit of resume. He looks decent. He doesn't create turnovers, and that's winning football. So I mean, and by the way, speaking of trash, look at them jerseys that the Woke wore. I mean, again, does every team have to have black jerseys? Do they have to black them out? And you're really going away. I mean, and also I want to say this. I watched Monday Night Football the other night, and they went, Troy Aikman and they were talking about what is it called? It was Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. They were talking about the Redskins, their coaches, McVay and how Shanahan were on the staff and 2 other coaches. Yeah. And it's clear that you could see it. They're on the Redskins. They have the Redskins logos and everything. And those bitches were too scared to mention Redskins. They were like, the Washington football team had really good coaches. Shut the fuck up, man. Well, stop it.
Well, I missed all of that because I honestly didn't watch any of Monday Night Football for one because I already knew the Rams the 49ers just simply own the Rams in the regular season. It's gotten to the point where it's just like, you know how the Washington versus Dallas, it's a waste of time, dude. It's just like I'd rather do anything else. I'd rather catch up on, like, I'd rather get some more sleep than anything because it's just like, you know what the outcome's going to be. It's a pointless ass game to watch. The Rams they don't know how to beat the 49ers.
What's funny because in that game, though, we'll talk about it. I'll get to that later. We'll talk about what happened in that game because I have some gripes about that. Because you're right. Other than the freaking refs giving the Rams the game last year in L.A., the Rams should have lost that game too. They should be on an 8-game losing streak.
Well, we're supposed to be talking about the Cowboys.
The woke.
Yeah.
Who cares about that? Let's fill it with some WNBA talk.
Let's get to the next one then.
Let's go Aces. Let's get to my game, which was this was arena football at its best. This was no defense. Seattle, for the first time since I can remember, didn't even attempt a punt. The punter never even took off his jacket he didn't even need a dress for this game. Seattle scores 14 in the first, 10 in the second, 14 in the third, 10 in the fourth, and they win 48-45. Not one quarter for either team had a 0 on it. This game went back and forth. Every time Seattle looked like they put it away, Detroit came right back down the field. Geno Smith was impressive, 23 of 30 for 320 yards, 10 yards an average, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Rashard Penny had 2 big touchdown runs, both of which should have put the game away. Geno Smith even rushed for 50 yards. DK Metcalf, in between taking a cart because he was about to shit himself, and he literally said he got on the cart so that he had to squeeze his cheeks to use the restroom. 7 for 149. I thought he tore something, but he tore his butthole. Lockett went 6 for 91, and Disley caught yet another touchdown. He has 3 already in the first 4 games. Jared Goff played pretty good, 26 of 39, 378, 4 touchdowns and a pick, but that pick was huge. Jamal Williams on the ground had a great game, 19 for 108 yards. He had a 51-yarder at one point. And T.J. Hawkinson, good God, talk about a tight end having a day. 8 catches for 179 yards and 2 touchdowns, including an 81-yard catch. But the Lions could not stop the Seahawks. Seahawks win 48-45.
Let me ask you how you feel about your Seahawks now.
Nowhere confident, dude. I mean, this was not an impressive win at all. The only thing that was impressive was that their offense was just cooking. But again, you look at it, you say, well, who are they playing? Detroit. And then you're like, okay, well, we scored 48. Yeah, but you give up 45. The defense was making all kinds of mistakes, missed tackles, penalties, missed assignments. Both teams look very sloppy. I mean, this looked like one of those flag football games where you just get out there and you're just trying to make one stop, the one team. And that's what happened. Basically, Seattle made only one stop in this game, and it was an interception. That's it. Other than that, I mean, Detroit didn't punt either.
Well, I will say one thing. They've been comparing Russell Wilson to Geno Smith. They've been comparing both those quarterbacks, Russell to Geno, and Geno's been putting up better numbers than Russell Wilson, man. So you got to look at it like, was it really Russell Wilson or was it really Pete Carroll? And Pete Carroll is doing pretty good. He knows what he's got in Geno Smith. So, I mean, I feel like I'm more confident about your team than you are about your own team. I feel like Seattle, what if they win the division with Geno Smith? Would that not be something?
I mean, I'd have to see the Niners fall on their ass. I don't see them. I think they're just starting to get going. And then the Rams, I mean, I could see them maybe tying the Rams, maybe. But I do see the Seahawks better than the Cardinals this year. The Cardinals are a piece of shit team.
That's 2 wins right there, right? 2 wins against the Cardinals, right?
I think we can do it. I really do. But this defense has to come up at some point because right now they look terrible. The defense is terrible.
The one year there was a year a couple years ago where you guys made it to the playoffs as a 32nd overall defense, wasn't it? It was like within the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, but again, we had a high octane offense. I mean, if they look, the play calling's definitely been different from the last few years, which is refreshing. But they got to keep that going. I don't know if they can keep that going on a weekly basis. You know. That's tough to do, but right now, I doubted the hell out of Geno Smith, and I thought we'd see Drew Lock already. But Geno's been playing pretty good. I have to give him props.
Everybody, I doubted Geno Smith. I had to go based on your word because you watch that. You're loyal as hell to that team, but You got to put everything in the back burner as far as before this year, before this season. Geno Smith he's a good court. He's in the right system. He's a system. He's a product of the system. It's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to have a systematic quarterback, especially what you get when you guys are supposedly in the rebuild mode. You guys got wide receivers and tight ends. Not Joakim Noah, but Noah Fant. Noah Fant. He caught a touchdown, didn't he?
No.
Huh?
He just got a couple catches. That's about it. It was Disley who got the touchdown.
There you go. I know that he came up in a highlight or two when I was watching the red zone and all that. But yeah, I think that Seattle's. I'm not gonna bluff on this, man. I like Seattle as much as I like Jacksonville this year. I think Seattle could make the playoffs, especially with the NFC. How bad the NFC is. Look at the Buccaneers and all that, but the Seahawks can't make the playoffs, man. They can make it as a wild card as like the number 7 seed, but that's that we still got to have more than half of the season to go. We got injuries and all that we got to go through with all the other teams. But the Lions, dude, I don't know what it is about the Lions, man. It's just like they find ways to lose. Like they say, everybody's always said bad teams find ways to lose. Like, and that's what the Lions do. They should have beaten us. They were up by 10 last week. They were up by double digits twice on us, and then they ended up losing that game. And then they were putting up a shit ton of points. Jared Goff is a systematic quarterback. He's good in that system, man. I think Detroit, if they're just like a few pieces away, man. I like what I see in Detroit, and reading all the stats and all that, listening to they're on the right path, man. It's just that there's something missing in Detroit.
Yeah, and then as a Seahawks fan, I feel damn like we should have beat Atlanta. We'd be 3-1 right now, but oh well, That's how it is.
Keeps you guys under the radar, and if you look at it, man, the NFC's on the downslide. They're like all that. You guys can make it in the playoffs, man. Like, don't be surprised if a 9-win team makes the playoffs in the NFC this year.
I wouldn't doubt it.
That's going to be you guys right there. Watch.
I hope so, but we'll see, man.
But hold on. 9 wins isn't that traditional Seahawks right there where they end up getting like another 15 or 14?
Well, that's why I don't want, dude. I'd rather them tank it, obviously. But because there's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a draft. I think Seattle should just go for it this year, man. You just never know, man. You want to be they might catch fire at the end of the year. They might peak at the right time, be a wild card, go into somebody's home, win that, and win on the road in the wild card, and then you never know what happens from there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want that, actually. Let's move on to the next game. Chargers and Houston. Chargers go to 2-2. Houston falls to 0-3-1. Justin Herbert, it seemed like the first couple times I was tuning into this game on Red Zone, Eckler was just scoring touchdowns. It was the first 2 plays, it seemed. Herbert went 27-39, 340, 2 touchdowns, no picks. It seems like those ribs are better. Eckler 13 carries for 60 on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Mike Williams had a big game, 7 for 120, but did not get in the end zone. Gerald Everett did for a touchdown, 5 for 61, and so did Eckler through the air. So he had 3 combined touchdowns. The first 21 points went to Eckler in this one. They had a big lead, but Davis Mills was bringing Houston back. They almost got right back in the game. He went 26-35, 246 through the air, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. And Dameon Pierce rushed for 14 times, 131 yards and a touchdown. That came out of nowhere. Nico Collins led the Houston Texans with 382, but Santa was not bringing a win home for Christmas as the Houston Texans lose 34-24.
What's the reference for people that don't know about the Santa name or nickname?
That's the coach Lovie Smith for the Chicago. Nope, the Houston Texans.
Chicago Nope. That's what Chicago should be called this year. Chicago Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
No, Lovie Smith, man. I don't know, man. Like we've talked about the Texans, like Lovie Smith. He good coach. He just needs time to develop the team. He might not be the coach to get them to where they need to be, but he'll build that roster up. And like Tony Dungy for John Gruden way back when the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. Lovie Smith can build a team up, but can he take them to the next level and actually win the Super Bowl? That's for the Texans. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but just give Lovie Smith time. His resume is pretty impressive. He went to Chicago. He's been the best coach in Chicago since he left. I don't think there's been another coach that came close to what Lovie Smith did for the Bears. So Texans, it's hard to find a good coach, and the Texans got a good coach right now. I used to hate playing against Lovie when the Vikings would play against Lovie Smith because Lovie Smith kind of owned us when he was a Bears coach. So, I mean, It's a no surprise. I think even Texans fans would tell you that they were expecting Justin Herbert, the pervert, to go in there and win the game. Bosa was injured too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's always hurt. So
Yeah, the Bosas and the Watts, they're just collecting checks on the handicaps, dude. It's crazy, huh? These superstar athletes, freaks of natures that can do no like they're just monsters. They're so delicate.
they are.
That blows my mind. How are you so athletic and so strong and all this and that, steroided up if possible, but they can't last on the field?
Well, this is a big win for the Chargers. They needed this to get to 500. Obviously, injuries for the first 4 weeks. So, in the AFC West, fortunately for them, it has been pretty mediocre. So, that works in their favor. So, a big win for them. You're right about Lovie Smith. The defense looks better for Houston.
Yeah.
And, but not in this game though. They were exposed. But we'll see Houston at some point get a victory. But they're fighting. They're fighting for sure.
We'll see who they play next week. I haven't looked at the schedule, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
We'll take a look. Tennessee went into Indianapolis. This was a battle of two 1-2 teams, and actually 1-1 team and 1-2 team. So the Titans were trying to get back to 500, and Ryan Tannehill went 17 for 21, 137 yards. Not a good performance for him, but he didn't have to have a good performance. 2 touchdowns, no picks. It was Derrick Henry, 22 carries, 114 yards on the ground. Not too much to talk about through the air for the Titans as far as receiving. Okinawa, wherever his name is, 3 for 38 and a touchdown. Matt Ryan followed that up with 27 of 37, a pretty good game, 356 through the air, 2 touchdowns and a pick. But everyone's favorite draft pick on fantasy football continues to shine. He's like, I'm the best player in all of football. Thank you, and you're welcome for picking me number 1 overall. Jonathan Taylor said, you know what? 20 carries on 42 yards and a 2.1 yard carry, no touchdown in this game. And then some guy named Mo Al Cox led the
Mo Alley Cox.
well, Mo Alley Cox, he loves them Alley Cox. 6 catches for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Titans win 24-17.
I mean, there's not much to really say about this game. It's typical divisional game. Matt Ryan doing Matt Ryan things. The Colts are going to be, to me, it looks like it's going to be a 500 team at best. Colts. The Titans, they got a better chance of making the playoffs, but that's a Tannehill can get it going. Derrick Henry, it looks like he woke up and he came back to life, and it was an important game for them. Otherwise, they were going to go 1-3.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Taylor, fantasy football. I don't understand how people draft. Like, dude, it doesn't make any sense how anybody could go after Jonathan Taylor after just one season of being the number 1. Like, yeah, that dude, he did that shit off surprise. Like, it was a surprise season. But people were like teams. Everybody was like, okay, this guy did this last year. Okay, let's game plan for him now. We got the whole off season. The Colts are going to rely heavily on Jonathan Taylor. Like, no, dude, it doesn't work that way. You don't do that. You don't draft guys that have only had one spectacular season out of nowhere, and it's a super surprise. Or you don't draft that, and then you also don't draft a guy that's been injury prone in the first round, like Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey. I don't care how good they are in that year. Prove me wrong, but you're still injury prone, or you're just a surprise from last year. You're a 1-year fluke until proven differently. And Jonathan Taylor's a 1-year fluke, dude. I don't even know where he's at. He's not nowhere near the top 10 running backs, I bet, right now.
Exactly. And it's that. Look, a lot of people will just say, hey, you know what, he's a hot hand, we're going to go with him. All these fantasy gurus were like, you got to go with Taylor. That offensive line's one of the best in football. Dude. And look, everyone fell for it, like you said. So there you go.
Wow. Dude, it doesn't make no sense for future references. Dude, let's say, I don't know. Let's say some random ass run. Let's say the guy for the 49ers, Jeff Wilson, he leads the league in rushing this year. Are you going to, he's number 1. He puts up like 1,700 yards. He puts up like some crazy number, like 25 rushing touchdowns or 25 all-purpose touchdowns. Dude, are you going to draft him number 1 overall, even though the experts say, I'm not drafting that dude number 1, dude. 1 year surprise? No.
Well,
no.
See, here's the thing with if you match McCaffrey up with with Thomas, the reason why or Taylor, the reason why I say like you have to look at what happens with both those running backs. You don't know what you're going to get because you have a new quarterback for whatever reason. With Trash Wentz, he had a huge year last year. Now you put in another quarterback that's a different scheme, and you expect him to do the same thing? No, not really. Same thing with McCaffrey. McCaffrey's got to stay healthy. He's got a different quarterback out there. He doesn't have the constant dump-offs like he was getting from Bridgewater and stuff like that when he was in there. So whatever you get, it's going to be different. You know what I mean? So some of these fantasy owners don't take that in consideration, that the new quarterback makes a huge difference.
Baker Mayfield?
Yeah. So that'll move us on to a defensive struggle. And in this game, a couple of quarterbacks we just talked about, one of those quarterbacks in one of those games threw more than both these quarterbacks combined. This was kind of embarrassing as far as throwing the football. But both these, look, Giants and Bears, it's always a defensive slugfest. This was no different. The Giants are 3-1 now, surprisingly out the gate. The Bears fall to 2-2, 0-2 on the road. Justin Fields makes us look stupid. I thought it was going to be 19 passes total for him. He said, you know what? I got both of you guys. He went 11 for 22, 174 yards. He's like, damn, dude, my arm's sore from throwing this much. He was sacked 6 times. Let's see, Khalil Herbert rushed.
He almost got sacked as many times as he had completions. That's terrible.
Exactly. And then Darnell,
dog shit right there.
That is dog shit offense. Herbert rushed 19 times for 77 yards. Darnell Mooney 4 for 94 through the air. So that was like all his yards went to one guy. And then you know what? It's funny because Justin Fields is like, man, I'm not going to look to throw too much today, even though there's perfect weather. He goes, I just want to get more attempts than what Carlos and Todd said. So then Daniel Jones is like, man, fuck you guys. I'm going to do worse than you possibly can. He goes 8 for 13, only 71 yards passing.
Hold on, you said 8 for 13 with how many yards?
71. He doesn't crack 100.
Look at how bad that is right there.
And guess what, though? His average per throw is still better than Carson Wentz, who threw 36 times. His average per throw in 13 attempts is 5.5 yards.
There's some quarterbacks out there that don't belong in the NFL, man. It's just terrible.
And maybe everyone's little fantasy, fantasy darling right here, Saquon Barkley, 31 rushes, 146 yards. Daniel Jones actually almost rushed for more yards than he threw. He threw for 71. He rushed for 68, and he still did outdone Taylor from the Colts. And the leading receiver for the Giants, check this out. These are Justin Jefferson numbers. Daniel Bellinger, 3 receptions for 23 yards. So he had a long of 12.
Hold on. You said 3 receptions for 21 yards?
23 yards, yeah. That's the lead.
Oh, he should have had 21 yards. That would have been a 3-2-1 effect right there.
Exactly. Giants win an ugly game, 2012.
That was unimpressive, dude. That's gotta be the who gives a fuck game of the week right there. That shit sounds boring as fuck. Like that was like one of those type of games. Like that was one of those like if you're hungover, if you want a quick way of going to sleep, just lay down underneath the blanket and just put that game on, and you're gonna get a nice cruising nap right there. That was straight boring right there. And like those numbers, 8 for 13, that was crazy for 71 yards. That was horrible right there.
and he's their winning quarterback.
I can't get over his face though. He just has that look, like how you and Matt used to say. Eli Manning has that face. What is it with giant quarterbacks? Ever since Eli Manning got drafted by the Giants, that's what the Giants are attracted to.
Yep, they're all like, "Wait, you look retarded? Come start with us."
Yeah. Brian DeBoer, I heard on the radio today that Brian DeBoer should go after Mitch Trubisky because Trubisky was in Buffalo with Brian DeBoer, the head coach, and he knows the system over there from Buffalo with Josh Allen, and Trubisky might be better than Daniel Jones right now. Do you think Trubisky would be better than Daniel Jones in that giant offense?
No, I'm not a fan of Trubisky. I don't think he's ever gotten into the NFL. So like he's just not. He's a few screws short of whatever. He's just not. I couldn't finish that reference, but I just think that the Giants are better served to just keep playing. They're playing the way they're playing, pound the rock, throw the ball every now and then, and rely on your defense. And that's winning football to them. That's winning football. They're playing much like the team that the Bears are supposed to be. And they out Bears the Bears.
They out-Beared the Bears.
Yeah, pretty much.
To finish up what you said, Trubisky, he's a few screws away from being a finished project. How about that?
That's much better. See,
How about that?
I started the reference and I couldn't finish it, so thank you.
I got you right here, man. See, I got you. Teamwork, baby.
All right, that's how we do in the WNBA.
That's easy. High five there, buddy.
Exactly. Woo! All right. So enough of that shit show. Let's move on to one that was built up as a surprise matchup, and that's your Philadelphia Eagles, who now improved to 4-0 as the Eagles, took care of home. They protected that house, as the old saying was from Under Armour. Jacksonville got out to a 14-0 lead. Trevor Lawrence was on fire in this first quarter. And it looked like the Jags were going to pull the upset, and I was going to be right and you were going to be wrong. But you were right in this game as the Eagles scored 20 points before halftime to take control. And Doug Peterson's triumphant return was spoiled as Justin Fields did just enough in the second half to beat the Aces. Trevor Lawrence he made as many layups as 11 out of 23, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, but he took 4 sacks. He went cold in the second half. Travis Elaine Jr. rushed the ball for only 8 for 32. Your boy James Robinson was a disappointment this week, 8 for 29. So the Eagles did a good job stopping that run game. Christian Kirk, 2 for 60 through the air. Jalen Hurts, though, 16 for 25, 204 yards and a pick, but he rushed the ball pretty good in this one, 16 for 38. Miles Sanders was 27 for 134. There's your key to the game, 2 touchdowns. And A.J. Brown continued to shine, 5 receptions for 95 yards. The Eagles, very impressive, taking care of home, 29-21.
How serious do you look at the Eagles? How do you look at them as serious threats in the NFC?
No. I need to see about 2 or 3 more weeks of this, and then I'll be like, okay, they got something.
So I think that they got the Cowboys coming up within the next 2 weeks. I don't know who they play next, but I know they got the Cowboys within the next 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I feel like the Eagles are peak. Dude, they're looking unstoppable right now, but dude, they're peaking at the worst possible time. Like, yes, I'm pretty sure it feels really good being unbeaten and the only unbeaten team in the NFL right now. But dude, it's just like you still got how many more games to go, and I'm pretty sure they're putting out all their plays. They're just putting everything out there. They're showing the NFL like this is what we're gonna be, and you got to stop us. You got to stop what we're showing. It's kind of scary. I feel like they need to be doing this in the months of November leading into December. Like, dude, it's been told you don't want to peak in the September, October months. You want to be peaking in the opposite. You want to be peaking November, December. It's almost like when the Giants, I think it was 2008, when the Giants barely scraped into the playoffs, when the Patriots were undefeated or whatever, and then they met in the Super Bowl. That was crazy, dude. I know I'm getting off topic right here, but I've always said this to myself and anybody else that was willing to listen. The Giants played the Patriots that one final game, and the Patriots ended up going 16-0 because they beat the Giants, and they barely beat the Giants. But the Giants saw what they had to do to beat the Patriots, and that was enough for them to spark into the playoffs. And they beat the Bucs, they beat the Cowboys, then they beat Brett Favre with that in this final game at Lambeau, and then they beat the Patriots. So I mean, that to prove my point that you want to be peaking late November into December. That's what you need to do, even if you barely get into the playoffs. If you're peaking at that time, you're going to be just fine in the playoffs. You'll make a lot of noise. You might make it to the Super Bowl. You never know. But if you're peaking in September to October, dude, forget about it. By late November and December, you're probably going to lock up the division. That means guys are going to be rest. They're going to be like, okay, cool. Now we got the first round bye. That's going to be nothing but rest. And then that's going to be causing nothing but trouble for the chemistry for the team. They're going to be like, all right, now it's time for us to pull our best. Meanwhile, another team that's been peaking from November to December is going to end up having all this energy going into Philadelphia. Like, we're the underdogs. You guys got the home field advantage. We're the underdogs. They won't have nothing to fall back on.
I agree, and you know they did a good job in this game, but again they got to shine. These wins are going to help them later on, you know, in case they run into a tough patch. But for right now, you know, 4-0 is 4-0. They're the only undefeated team right now, so kudos to them.
Respect it. Gotta respect it.
You do. Now this moves us on to a weird game, and that is the Jets at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Jets have literally played all the teams in the AFC North in the first 4 weeks. They played the Bengals, they played the Ravens, they played the Browns, and now they finished it up playing the Steelers. The Steelers came in this game 1-2 as well, so something had to give right here.
And something did give.
Yeah, they sure did. Zach Wilson, the MILF killer, came back. He started very slow in this game. The Steelers actually took control on the ground and led for most of the game. However, Wilson got it going, made some really good throws in the second half, especially the fourth quarter. He finished 18 of 36 for 252, a touchdown and 2 picks. Breece Hill, 17 for 66. Corey Davis, 5 for 74 through the air. Now, here's what the guy you were talking about. When are they going to go? You've been saying it since week 1.
Yeah.
When are they going to go away from Turd Biscuit to Kenny Pickett? Turd Biscuit went 7 for 13, 84 yards, and a pick. And then he had 3 sacks, and then so Tomlinson said, let's go to Kenny Pickett. And Kenny Pickett, if you take away his incompletions, he went 10 for 10. The problem is if you use his incompletions, he went 10 for 13 and 3 interceptions. So that helped the Steelers lose this game. Najee Harris went 18 for 74, and George Pickens had 6 catches for 102 yards through the air, but it wasn't enough. The Jets scored a touchdown at the very end to squeak one out in Pittsburgh, 24-20.
Hey, didn't the Steelers go up once Pickett came in? Did the Steelers go up 20-10? Does it show you? Because I remember looking at that stat line. I was like, wait a minute. The Steelers are up, and then I had already heard that Turd Biscuit was benched, and I was like, ooh, it looks like the Steelers are onto something right there. And when I looked at the score again, the Steelers were losing. I was like, damn, there goes that right there. But it just goes to show you that the Steelers reacted to the move. They got energetic, and hopefully it's the right thing for the Steelers fan base. Because, dude, who wants to sit here in agony and pain? Well, maybe not. Maybe hopefully Pickett does suck, dude, because the Steelers have had too much success.
They have.
They've gone through some suffering years. Let them suffer a little bit along with Packer fans, Patriot fans, all these teams that have had all this constant success. Let them suffer, for a year or 2, maybe 3, maybe 5. Just let them go through it. Me as a Viking fan, I'm loving it, watching the Steelers struggle, watching the Cowboys go through their quarterback, like all that stuff. It's heartwarming for me because, dude, it's always been the Vikings that have struggled like that, and I'm pretty sure you feel the same way too, watching all these media darling teams get all this attention. But it just feels good watching these powerhouse historic teams go through it for a little bit.
Yeah, because the Steelers can't rely on the rapist anymore. He's not there raping wins, so they have to deal with what they got to go. They're going to go through the growing pains. And again, Pickett looked good for those completions, but he threw 3 bad passes, and all of them went, unfortunately, to the Jets, and they used that to their advantage. And yes, they were down 20-10 before they ran that Eagles Super Bowl touchdown pass to the quarterback. So. Impressive win for the Jets moving forward, and they survived the AFC North going 2-2.
That's pretty good. That's one of the best divisions too.
Yeah, not too bad right there, and both on the road, so that's kind of impressive.
Okay.
Now that moves us on to the Who Gives a Fuck game of the week. This game was really, really boring. And it was the Cardinals and Panthers. Panthers fall to 1-3. Somehow the Cardinals are 2-2. I felt as bad as the Panthers played in this game, the Cardinals still stole this game because they looked like shit at times as well. Kyler Murray, 23 of 32, 207 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick. James Conner had 15 carries for 55 yards. Marquise Brown, 6 for 88 through the air. Baker Mayfield was terrible. He was getting booed at home. 22 for 36, 197 yards through the air, a touchdown, 2 picks. I guess I was wrong about picking him up. And then also Christian McCaffrey, 8 carries for a awesome 27 yards on the ground. But Christian McCaffrey also made it up this way, 9 receptions for 81 yards. But Carolina loses and doesn't really put up much of a fight at home, 26-16.
Is Matt Rule going to be the first coach fired this year?
I don't think so. I think he gets one more year.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he gets one more year.
Dude, he's traded for how many quarterbacks? How many quarterbacks has Matt Rule gone through? He went through the Cam Newton experience, Baker Mayfield, and Sam Darnold, and I don't know if there's been another quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater. So he's gone through how many quarterback cycles, and he just can't get it right. It's the coach, dude. It's not. They got a good team. Everybody knows that they got a good team. They got a running game. If McCaffrey can stay healthy, which he's shown for the first month of this season, which is one game longer than what I was giving him. I was giving him 3 games for the whole entire season, but. They got weapons at wide receiver. They got DJ Moore. They got Robbie Anderson. Baker Mayfield's a good quarterback, man. He's shown in the past that he's a good quarterback. It's just Matt Rule, dude. Since day one, just not an NFL quarterback an NFL coach. He's meant for the college. He's meant for college football. As far as the Cardinals are going to give you that's another team that's going to give you like an 8-win season, and then they'll be one and done if they make the playoffs. But I don't see the Cardinals making the playoffs. But that's without DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins should be back. I want to say week 6 or week 7. I don't know when he's supposed to come back, but if they're in the playoff hunt, if DeAndre Hopkins comes back, they're good. Marquise Brown, he's showing me up. He's shutting me up. Marquise Brown is always making plays. Every time I look at Cardinals highlights, he's always making plays. He fits the system like he did in college. So the Cardinals got it right with that first-round pick that they traded away from Marquise Brown. James Conner, he fits the system. He wasn't doing too good in Pittsburgh. So, I mean, Arizona's got pieces here and there. I can't hate on them fully because, they're 2-2, better than 1-3 or 0-4 or whatever. But, like you said, it was a boring game. But if Matt Rule wasn't the head coach, I think Carolina would be a better team with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I think you're right when it comes to that. Matt Rule should have stayed in Baylor. He was doing really good in Baylor. But another one of these coaches that just was using college to get to the NFL. I don't have any faith in the Cardinals. I think they're going to fade. I think both these teams don't make the playoffs, to be honest with you.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So, real quick, Dana Jr. said that the Eagles play the Cardinals next, so they're going to be 5-0.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. That's a spoiler. That's not really a spoiler, Dana. So get ready for a 5-0 start. But really, are you really happy with the win over the Cardinals? Though I mean, when you like what I've been saying, a win is a win. I'll tell you, anybody will take a win, but it's just like, dude, the Cardinals are just not an impressive team. So
the Eagles got that schedule, man. They got the woke twice as well, so they're feeling pretty good about themselves.
Jalen Hurts is that guy over there in Philly.
He sure is. That moves us on to a Super Bowl rematch from years ago, and then also just good matchups in general. But Tom Brady wasn't there, and I know you were playing in your fantasy like everybody else was. Bailey Zappi, Bailey Zappi was the man.
Dude,
Zappi came in, the third string quarterback, 10 for 15, 99 yards. He sparked the Patriots to a lead in the fourth quarter against the freaking Packers at Green Bay. Brian Hoyer was like, yes, I finally get to start, and then he gets knocked out. Damian Harris was good on the ground, 18 for 86. Also, Stevenson had 14 for 66, so they were running against the Packers. They really didn't throw that much. Nelson Aguilar, 3 for 46, but they were doing enough to have the lead late against Aaron Rodgers. 21 of 35, 251, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Aaron Jones on the ground, 16 for 110. A.J. Dillon, 17 for 73. And then Lazard, 6 for 116. This one went almost to a tie. The Packers needed all of overtime to beat the New England Patriots 27-24.
Well, I will say one thing is Bailey Zappi. He was really happy that he got his chance to shine on I guess the game of the week, because that's the game that was getting televised everywhere, even though it was a sluggish. Dude, that was horrible when watching that game. It was another boring game too. I don't know what it's been with the NFL season this year, man. It's just been a whole lot of like mysterious games that you're watching, but can you like give an explanation for each game? It's just like, dude, how and what? It's just like that was one of them games that you just watched and you were like, man, I can't wait for this game to be over. That pick six was pretty nice by the Patriots right before halftime. Aaron Rodgers forced that pass to Lazard. Mm-hmm. To me, what I'm scared of is that as a Viking fan, Aaron Rodgers is starting to have that same chemistry that he had with Devontae Adams, with Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs, he's starting to slowly catch my eye, man. I do Romeo Doubs for number 87 for the Packers. 87 is a good number in Green Bay. The last receiver I remember wearing 87 in Green Bay was Donald Driver, and he was a killer out there. He was a beast. So if Romeo Doubs gets it going, the Packers are in good hands. He's the rookie. He's going to be under his rookie contract for like 3 more years after this one. So and then they got the run game. So the Packers, they're like I said, man, they're not peaking. They're not peaking, but they're 3-1. You know, it's just kind of like us over here in Minnesota. Like we're not peaking. We're squeaking by and we're getting all these ugly wins. But that's a great sign right there for like what's going to happen when the Packers, like their whole entire offense wakes up and then Romeo Dobbs becomes that number one guy. Robert Tonyan is going to have all the inside open, and then you got Cobb, who's experienced. He's got all the chemistry along with Allen Lazard. They can work the insides while Dobbs goes deep, and then they can start working the gadget plays with Christian Watson. I've seen how they use Christian Watson. What sucks about Christian Watson, this is me talking as a football fan. I'm a Viking fan for wholeheartedly, but I'm putting all that bias aside. I think they need to use Christian Watson the way Cordero Patterson is used and Deebo Samuel. Like he's in that same category where you can use him as a running back. He's a gadget player, wildcat. That dude, like they use him in gadget plays, and it would not shock me if they went 5 receivers deep, and then they put they audible into bringing Watson in as a running back, and he took it for like 80 yards. He's a good versatile player. He's not a one trick pony. That dude's like all the positions. He's like Taysom Hill, Cordero Patterson, Deebo Samuel, Percy Harvin. So the future looks good for Green Bay and those receivers. It looks like once they figure out how to use them, which they're getting there, the Packers are going to be nasty again. And I hate saying it, but that's just me putting all my Viking bias aside, being realistic, giving you guys what you want to hear. That's the truth right there. The Packers will be in good hands with as long as Rodgers is there.
And their defense has gotten a lot better. They have former Seahawk Jaron Reed in there. Rashawn Gary, the linebacker, had a fabulous game in this game as well. He was in the backfield a lot, so that guy was number 52. I kept my eye on that dude all game. He was just pressuring the Patriot quarterbacks all game. So, yeah, the Packers, if they get going with that defense along with that offense, they're going to be a scary team going down the road here.
Quickly, do you know when the Packers play the Eagles?
I'll have to look that up right now. I'll find that in a second.
I'm looking that up right now. Give me 1 second. They play November 27th. That's going to be when the Packers. That's going to be a really good game. That's going to be around the holidays. We're going to see. We're going to see if and then the Packers after that they've got. It's going to be that's going to be the time for the Packers to show if they want to make the playoffs or not, because they got the Eagles in Philadelphia, then they go to Chicago, then they get the Rams, and then the Dolphins, and then the Vikings, and then they finish off with the Lions. So the Packers, if they get it going, man, they're 3-1 right now, and if they beat the Eagles in Philly, right in Philly, I said,
yeah.
Forget about it. The Packers might be in contention at that point to take down the Eagles and be the number 1 seed. Because right now, like I'm telling you, dude, that the Eagles are peaking at the wrong time. The Eagles unless they can keep this whole entire thing going the whole entire season. I don't know, man, but it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard. But that game is gonna be crazy and entertaining. That's gonna be the game of the week. Packers at Philly, November 27th. That's a 8:20 game, so I'm thinking that's a Monday night game.
Yeah, I think so. Or it's either Monday night or Sunday night.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll move us on to the Raiders. They were the only 0-3 team, and they took that away right away as the Denver Broncos are 0-2 away from Mile High as they lose this game to the Raiders. The Raiders win in Las Vegas and go to 1-3. Captain Eyeliner outshines Russell Sierra's bitch Wilson. 17 for 25, 237 through the air, 2 touchdowns, no picks for Russell Wilson. He was the leading rusher also for the Broncos. That's a problem. 4 for 29, and talk about a problem, bro. Melvin Gordon fumbled for the 4th time this year already, and it was ran back for a touchdown. That helped the Raiders big time in this game. KJ Hammer had his first ever catch. It was for 55 yards. That was his only catch. Captain Eyeliner went 21 for 34, 188 yards, no picks, no touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, though, was the star for the Raiders. 28 carries, 144 yards on the ground. Devontae Adams, 9 for 101 yards. The Raiders ran the ball right down the Broncos' throat to get the victory in Vegas. They go to 1-3. Thoughts on Russell Wilson's?
Russell Wilson, it looks like he was wrong for leaving Seattle. Let Russ cook isn't really saying much. It looks like when Russ cooks, you're gonna get a McDouble with some ketchup and some pickles, and you might even get a couple boogers in there. I was just playing. No, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on over there in Denver. Is it the coach? Is it it's got to be the coach, because they got a nasty roster over there. They got a pretty good roster. I wouldn't say nasty, but they got a really good roster over there. They got wide receivers, they got tight ends, they got everything you could ask for in the offense. Their defense is supposed to be good. It might just be the head coach. Head coach, I think it might be his first time being a head coach. Nathaniel Hackett, he he was living off of Aaron Rodgers' success. And they got him the job over there in Denver. Thankfully, Minnesota didn't hire him. So, yeah, I'm really happy about that. So, I think that the Broncos are probably not going to make the playoffs this year. Like they just done. They're just like a team that's stuck in neutral. Like you want to, because of that roster and because of Russell Wilson and his resume and all that, you're like, man, this team's going to be good. And then you want to circle them for the win every week, but then you're sitting there thinking like, man, I don't know about Denver. I don't know. So you kind of like go with the other team. So you kind of like, it's kind of like a coin flip, honestly. But I don't know, man. I don't know what to make about the Denver Broncos. The Raiders should hopefully they can get it going. If not, that dude McDaniels, or the coach, the guy that came over from
Josh
New England.
McDaniels,
Yeah, him. Dude, I don't know what's going on with him, man. This is his second or third time being a head coach in the NFL. He should already have this on pat, and this is the best team that he's had, dude. That team made the playoffs last year, and they picked up their first win in the last week of September. That's crazy. Hopefully, they can get it going because the NFL. If the Raiders get good, the NFL is much better. I think when the Giants and the Raiders are good, that's when the NFL is really, really good because the Raiders are like one of the best teams in the NFL history. Like they just got one of the coolest songs too. The Autumn Wind is a Raider. That's probably one of my favorite sports songs of all time. It's got a really good rhythm and all that football and all that. But the Broncos, they got to pick it up, man. They got they're 2-2, so they can maybe get a wild card spot. Who knows?
And Russell needs the running game to get going. And if the running game is so bad the way it is right now, they're not going to win many games. So I agree with you right there.
Oh, they just signed Latavius Murray.
Well, I don't think he's going to be the savior there, but we'll see.
Think about this for a second, though. Latavius Murray, he was with Baltimore last year, and then he was with New Orleans 2 years ago, with the Saints 2 years ago. Then he goes to Baltimore, and now he returns back to New Orleans, right? Mm-hmm. And he got put on the practice squad. Then he gets put he's backup to Mark Ingram in London, so he travels out to London from Louisiana. Then from London to Louisiana, now he's going to Denver to be the starter over there. Like, think about the journey that guy. He needs a 30 for 30 himself, Latavius Murray.
He does.
Like traveling and going back and forth from team to team and getting traded, going to London, he's got stories to tell.
Frequent flyer miles as well.
Yeah,
but dang, that moves us to the Sunday night game, which on paper looks great, but then you realize Tom Brady's 45 going through a divorce. Patrick Mahomes went 23 for 37, 249 through the air, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Kyle Edwards-Helaire, 19 carries for 92 yards. Pacheco, 11 for 63. The Chiefs just do everything right, it seems, on offense. Travis Kelce, 9 for 92 through the air. Tom Brady, 52 attempts, 39 completions, 385. Really good numbers. 3 touchdowns, no picks. But the running game, that's where it suffered for Tampa Bay. Rashard White, 3 carries for 6 yards. Leonard Fournette, 3 for -3. Mike Evans had 8 for 103 through the air, and Godwin 7 for 59. Patriots lose 41-31. Not 1-0 put up by the offense in any quarter. Both teams were scoring at will.
Dude, did you see that touchdown that Mahomes did to Clyde Edwards-Helaire? He did some crazy basketball moves where he broke away from the sack as they were all going to the sidelines. He broke away from the sack. Then he ran towards the pylon. He did a spin move, and then he was about to get tackled behind the line of scrimmage. And at the last second, he just lobbed it up to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I was just like, oh my god, that shit was ridiculous. I turned the game off after that. I was like, that shit is just not fair. Tampa Bay was trying to keep it close, and they kept it close for a little bit, even though they went down, 21-3, and then Tampa Bay came back. They made it 21-10, I want to say, and then it was just over after that. Like Tampa Bay just couldn't hang with Kansas City. Kansas City's just too much for a team like Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's just, and then they didn't have nobody. Even though they had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Julio Jones, Kyle Rudolph has been a non-factor. I thought Kyle Rudolph was going to have really good numbers over there in Tampa Bay, but Kyle Rudolph, like, I'm pretty sure you probably forgot that he was on Tampa Bay's roster, but they haven't used him, and he's got sure hands in the red zone. I guess Tom Brady just likes Cameron Brate a lot more than anybody else. He's got more trust in him. He's older, so he wants older players on the team. Rudolph has been in the league for like 10, 11 years, 12 years. I don't get it. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is the one thing I was going to ask you about this game. For the Buccaneers, do you think that the Buccaneers got it wrong by letting Bruce Arians go? Well, he's still part of the team and having Todd Bowles be the coach.
I think Bruce Arians was going to have a heart attack at some point as a coach on the sideline. I think it was too much for him. He's a good coach and everything, but he did the best of what they had. I think Tampa Bay's, them being able to get whoever they wanted and add to that roster, they haven't done that this year. They actually lost more than they gained.
We got a visitor.
So I don't think that that they're a team that is built for the long haul. I think Brady just stuck around one more year. They should have started over, and I have a really bad feeling that for Buccaneer fans, they are going to hit the reset button really quick after this season. They're going to blow that franchise up, dude. I'm telling you, that's a veteran-laced team, and they're going to wind up trading everybody away, and they're going to suck next year. I'm just saying, that's my prediction.
Should they go back to the old school pirate Buccaneer helmet? That one guy, that logo that they had with the pirate winking at you?
Yeah, the one where he just like, man, I want to get into your brown tunnel of love. That one.
The gay pirate. You might as well call him the gay pirate.
That was a gay pirate, dude. That guy wanted some chon-chon.
He even had a feather in his mouth.
Yeah, he's like, I'm ready, sailor. Let's do this.
I'm gonna make you cuss like a sailor.
Yeah, exactly. He's all, you could come aboard my ship anytime you want.
Dude,
I'll walk your plank, mister.
Fire the cannons. Fire your cannon.
Fire your cannons all over my face.
Oh man, let's move on to something else. Yeah, but the Chiefs are just too much for the Buccaneers, man. I agree with you 100%. Their defense, they can get a lot in return for their, like you said, laced up veterans. They can get a lot of draft, like they say in the NFL. I don't understand why the NFL says draft capital. Just call it for what it is, draft picks. They're trying to be all fancy. It's draft picks. But I guess they try and sound real fancy with draft capital. It's annoying hearing draft capital like that. It sounds too political for me. I don't know, but yeah, I think that the Buccaneers are probably going to be done, bro. I think that the Buccaneers, and which is sad because the NFC South is a straight dumpster fire, bro. Who do you think now is going to win that division in the NFC South?
Boy, your guess is good as mine, man. I mean, I don't say the Falcons, but
wait a minute, the Falcons? You don't think the Falcons have a chance with how bad the Buccaneers have looked, and the Saints, how their quarterback situation? The Saints or the Falcons are my pick right now.
I don't know. Someone's got to come and win that division. I just don't know who it's gonna be. It's gonna be ugly, man. I just don't know. But yeah. That's a good call right there. It's too early to tell, but the Bucs are definitely downward trending for sure. That'll move us to our final game of the day. That was the Monday night one, or of the week. The Rams fall to 2-2. The Niners go to 2-2. It was like we talked about earlier, very, very predictable in this one. The Rams can't beat the Niners, and the thing the Niners did, which was good in this game, was they did not allow a touchdown. They played bend don't break defense. They let Cooper Rush do his thing, even though I'm against it.
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp. They had way too many opportunities to put a defensive back on him, and they stuck with a linebacker, played zone, and he was just going to do his thing. But he was the only guy that did anything. Tyler Higbee was a tight end. He had 10 for 73, 14 for 122 for Cooper Kupp through the air. But the running game did nothing for the Rams as the Niners' stout defense against the run continues. Matthew Stafford went 32 of 48, 254 through the air and a pick. He was sacked 7 times. That was huge. He lost a fumble as well. That one interception was stupid as funk because the Rams and that genius coach of theirs kept throwing the football, the same stupid screen passes, and the defender for the Niners read it, jumped it, and scored a pick 6. And for all the people that are all over McVay's jock and they love like the Buccaneers gay pirate, they talked about him. They talked about the Niners, injuries. They made fun of the Niners, showing the championship loss and them crying. They did as much as they could to pump up the Rams and make them look like the better team, ignoring the fact that the Rams were on a 6-game losing streak and the Rams had a ton of help in that championship game to get that only victory. To me, they should be on an 8-game losing streak to the Rams. But Jimmy Garoppolo, 16 to 27 and a touchdown, 239 through the air. Jeff Wilson, 18 for 74. Deebo Samuel, though, 6 for 115. They could not tackle him. Niners get a win, 24 to 9.
Well, that's your division right there, man. Do you think who do you think is going to win that division, the NFC West?
Niners now.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I think the best thing they could have did, and this sounds wrong, but the best thing that could have happened to the Niners was Trey Smith getting hurt. Or Trey, him getting hurt really has turned their season around, dude. I don't think they were going to go anywhere this year. I thought the Rams were going to win that division because the Niners made the stupid quarterback decision. But with Lance going down, that was the best thing that could have happened to the Niners.
As far as the game goes, man, like you covered everything. You said everything. You basically said it. Dude, it's predictable. The Rams just can't. They can't. I'm going to just call it for what it is. The Rams just simply can't fuck with the 49ers. The Rams, dude, outside of that playoff game last year and the NFC Championship game, when's the last time the Rams beat the 49ers? You know, it's just like one of those. Dude, I was like, I'm not going to waste my time watching that damn game. And it was just like, I looked at the score and the Rams were just like, 9-24 was the final, right?
Yep.
I was like, man, it's just like, I just kept looking at the score. I was like, is it worth clicking on and watching this game? I was like, it's just not worth it. I'm going to just end up losing sleep. So I ended up going to sleep early last night. And I was like, it's pointless. It's pointless. I don't understand it, dude, because like they got Allen Robinson and everybody's like, what's going on with the Rams? How come Cooper Kupp is the only option that they're going to? Like, dude, you got other wide receivers that love the game, that love the sport. Give these other guys a chance. Matthew Stafford, he did that shit in Detroit too with Megatron. Like once he found out that he had a superstar wide receiver, just want to keep throwing it to him, just padding his stats. That seems like he just wants to pad his stats now. He's got his Super Bowl, so he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna just throw it up there and I'm gonna just keep getting those stats. I want to be up there with the names of Drew Brees and Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and all them. When it should be more of like spread the ball out to everybody else and have more wins on the resume than Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and them, and have more Super Bowls than those guys combined. Like it's just crazy. It blows my mind. You got your window is just like, you don't let that window shut completely before it's too late. You gotta figure it out, man, because the season is still young. The Rams got to get it together, and they can. I'm still going to pick them to make the playoffs. But dude, it's just like crazy because if they continue on this path where I'm doing what you did, calling Cooper Kupp rush. But if they just keep going to Kupp, it's going to be obvious. The run game is useless. They don't like running the ball over there. So I mean, it's just they're becoming predictable.
Yeah, so, I think you're going to see the genius start to lose a lot more games than winning them.
He's going to start having gray hair, so that's going to ruin his look.
Yep. Then there are guys like Troy Aikman and Buck won't have anything to touch themselves over because
they'll find a way. You know that they'll find a way. They got all week to game plan for what they're going to talk about for McVay and all that. They'll find a way. Trust me.
Well, here's the deal, dude. Look, the Niners to me are your Packers. You know, I hate them. I hate the Niners, but I will say this in their defense in this game. You couldn't get the camera off of McVay or Aaron Donald or the excuses that you were hearing about, their players. The commentators would not stop making excuses for the Niners. Or for the Rams. They were making all the they were saying all this funny stuff about the Niners, not giving them the credit that they were deserving. So it's like, I hate the Niners, but I had to feel bad for them in a way that damn, again, the Rams are getting all the love. They're getting the push from the league, the push from the refs, and you're not giving that. And they did the same thing in the championship game last year. No credit whatsoever to the Niners. It was all about the Rams.
I think what they're trying to do, what the media's trying to do, they're doing that on purpose, man. I can't really fault the NFL for doing that. I bet you it's in their contract that they got to hype up the Rams because they just won the Super Bowl and they want fans, like casual fans, to adapt to like the Rams are this good and all that because they want to build up a fan base.
Wait, did you say casuals?
Casuals, yeah, because over there's a whole bunch of them, right? For the Rams, there's not really like diehard, hardcore. What's the word I'm looking for?
I'm thinking the ultra megas for the Niners.
the hoodlums. I think I got that wrong. Yeah, but no, they're doing what they can, man, because they moved the Rams from St. Louis to LA. When in St. Louis they had they were building tradition out there in St. Louis. Like I actually knew from my Madden 2004, Madden 2005 days. There was this one kid. He's a grown by now. We were about the same age. That dude, he loved the Rams. He would go to like 4 or 5 home games back when they were in St. Louis. So they had some passionate fans in St. Louis, and then they just moved them back to LA. Why didn't they just move the Chargers to LA and keep the Rams in the Midwest right there in Missouri? Like, dude, the Midwest, there's nothing there. In LA, there's so much to do, and you add so many more teams in California. There's already all these teams and all this going on in California. They don't need another team. The Midwest needs more entertainment. That's why nobody wants to live in the Midwest. There's nothing in the Midwest. As far as like in LA, you got everything, bro. You got like 30,000 teams. You got all this entertainment and everything that you could possibly think of. Where when they were in St. Louis, they were perfect.
Yeah, they should have stayed there. They had the fan base. When they won the Super Bowl in St. Louis, their rightful Super Bowl, they had a huge crowd for the championship. They should have stayed there. I think it was greed by Kroenke. They could have built a stadium there. St. Louis fans are loyal as funk, dude. So I agree with you.
Easily, and if they really got smart with it, man, they could have found a way where they, like you know how the Chargers and the Rams are sharing the stadium. They could have put the Chiefs and the Rams in the same stadium because they're already in the same state, Missouri. They could have put them, combined them, just move the Rams closer to the Chiefs, and then, like just do something like that, and then build like a superstar, like a really nice stadium for both teams.
Yeah, or just, I don't know. They messed up there. I think the owner got greedy and wanted to come to L.A. He thought they were going to have success. I think he's wrong there as far as with the fans. He was right with the team on the field, but wrong with the fans. The fans weren't going to buy that bullshit. L.A. fans, it takes a long time to get to them, and they're not buying what the Rams are selling.
No, it's gonna take them a long time because it's gonna have to happen like their actual like fans that are gonna be like real fans. It's gonna have to be from the next generation of fans because this generation of fans, they've already like you're in LA and you're a Seahawks fan, and I was in LA for the first 14 years of my life, and I was a Viking fan. That's because there's no LA team. There was no LA team for so long. So all these generations that have been in LA, like that are in their 30s or older, they're all passionate about their teams already in the NFL. So the next era of fans, that's what they're trying to push for right there. That's what the NFL needs. They need to be smart. They need to push for the kids. They need to start pushing the Rams on them, so they can build their fan base.
Give away free shit at the games or for the schools, something like that.
They have to.
Yep, I agree. So what did we do as far as records for picking games as we recapped everything, as we finished things up here?
Good call. I got so drawn into our show, man. We're kicking ass. That I almost forgot about the records themselves, which is why we do this show. Last week you went into last week going your record was 26 wins, 22 losses, and one tie. I got the tie as well. So you were 4 games above 500 last week. And last week I was 22-26 with that one tie. This week it was crazy. It was crazy as hell because it's gonna sound crazy, but we actually went let me find it. We both went there it is right there. We both went 10-6 this past Sunday. 10-6. We both went to that's crazy, man. That's crazy. So your record this week going into tomorrow's episode is 36-28-1. So you're doing really good. And all for right. Me, man, remember I've been under 500. I've been under 500, and this week I'm happy, man. I'm 32-1. I'm 500, baby. 500. I'm getting there. So I gotta knock it out the park this week, man. I've got to knock it out the park. So you're 36-28-1. So you're looking really, really good, man. If you have another really good week where you go 10, where you get 10 wins, and then you're gonna be just cruising by, bro. You basically know exactly what you're talking about. People are gonna take our picks. They're gonna start taking our picks to Vegas.
I hope so. But right now, if you were, you're losing your ass right now. I'm hoping that that we start to get into, because that's what we were doing the last few years when me and Matt were doing it. It was like it was a bad week if you didn't get the double digits, and this is the first time we got the double digits. So yeah, we got to keep it going, man.
I think a lot of that has to do with the first month of football because, like I've said, man, the first 3, 4, 5 weeks, I would say up to the third week. That's when you just don't know what you're going to get out of the teams, man. Just like what you expect, you're wrong in the first 3 weeks. Look at the Rams, look at the Seahawks, look at the Broncos, look at the Raiders. Everybody was like, oh, the AFC West, that all those teams are going to be like playoff bound, like dude, everybody, the narrative and everything. You just get confused in it the first 3 weeks of the season. Nobody expected the Eagles to be 4-0.
Well, yeah, you look at look at what we're doing right now. I mean, you have over, I think it's 60% of the league is already 2-2. So nobody's really, you only got one undefeated team right now. So,
but now we're starting to get a better picture of how which teams are better and like the smart choices and all that. So we're getting there. We should have a really good week this upcoming week. So make sure you guys tune in for tomorrow's show.
Absolutely. So for Todd Fox and the one and only Carlos Delatorre, any final words?
Nothing else, man. Nothing else. Just pray for us to get better results. Hopefully, we can go a perfect 16-0 this upcoming week.
There you go. All right, brother.
All right, signing out from the 419 and 562.